Today's video contains spoilers for the 2022 film Moonfall. What if the moon was a little more than it appeared? A megastructure, perhaps created by a long-gone ancient civilization. A megastructure which may have nefarious purposes. That's what we'll be talking about in today's video. And if you're thinking, well, this sounds like it could be straight out of Stellaris, well, I agree. Stellaris is a game filled to the brim with ancient megastructures, threats almost as old as time, and more. It's also one of my personal favorite games and up there in terms of addicting quality with the Civilization series. And right now, you can try it for free. In Stellaris, you take an interstellar civilization, whether that's pacifist humans, semi-sentient fungi, or machines which forcefully integrate other species into their collective consciousness, and try to create the dominant force in the galaxy. You'll be facing not only against other civilizations, but also emergent threats from interdimensional entities to rogue warlords and more. Not only did Stellaris recently release the new Overlord expansion, but the game is also free to try this weekend, and as I said, I cannot recommend it enough. You can check out my second channel, X2, for plenty of videos of me playing the game, and down in the comments, let me know what your favorite type of civilization to play is in Stellaris, and any really memorable moments you've had, because that's one of my favorite things about the game. Each playthrough takes on a life of its own. But thanks so much to Paradox for sponsoring today's video. Again, Stellaris is free to try. Check the link down below. On with the video. In Moonfall, we learn that the upper echelons of NASA and humanity know that there's something not quite right with the moon. During the lost contact period of the Apollo 11 mission, the astronauts encountered something that was beyond comprehension. An incredibly advanced, perhaps artificial life form, perhaps piece of technology, which eclipsed, pun intended, humanity's science and technology to the point where we looked like we were in the Stone Age. Alongside what would be described as a swarm of these machines, the astronauts also discovered anomalous structures, including specifically a tunnel seemingly bored into the moon's surface. Afraid of a potential threat to humanity, nations of the world began a project known as ZX-7, which was a powerful EMP humanity believed they could use as a last resort if needed. In the late 2000s or early 2010s, another mission to space encounters the swarm. One astronaut is killed, and a NASA cover-up at the highest level blames the catastrophe on human error. Now, a decade later, NASA and other space agencies around the world have discovered that the moon's orbit is deteriorating and that in 3 weeks the moon will actually crash into the Earth, hence the title of the film Moonfall. As the moon gets closer and closer to the Earth, the planet is struck by a series of cataclysms, including super high tides, and scientists realize that at a certain point the moon is simply going to break apart due to the Earth's gravity, causing a planet-wide apocalypse. It's also been noted that the moon appears to be expelling some strange substance, and a mission is planned to attempt to discover what is going on. An international team is put together. They travel to the Mare Crisium and investigate the source of the jettisoned material. As they probe the massive hole towards the center of the moon, the swarm attacks, destroying the spacecraft and all on board. However, NASA notices that when the swarm left the moon began to return to its ordinary orbit. Those on the surface create a plan. It's discovered that the EMP developed by humanity is somewhat functional, and the plan is to use a spacecraft without electronics, detonating the EMP, hopefully destroying the swarm, allowing the moon to return to its ordinary orbit. Despite some mistakes, the plan is actually successful. A small lander is inserted into the moon, and the astronauts on board are guided by some internal intelligence. It turns out that, as predicted by some, the moon was in fact a hollow megastructure. The lunar surface was in reality plating, which contained what the astronauts called a stabilizing gyroscopic system, perhaps some fields with produce, and most importantly, a white dwarf star, which is providing energy. The swarm is within the moon, suffocating the star and the energy source, thus causing the moon to fall. As the small crew and their lander enters, they're attacked by the swarm, but another intelligence, as mentioned, guides them to safety. One of the astronauts is told the truth of what's really been going on. In reality, the moon is in fact an ark for an ancient humanity. Billions of years ago, a precursor species, which seemed to be basically identical to humanity, achieved an incredible level of technological sophistication, making not only megastructures to house their population, but also essentially creating a utopia with no war, no famine, and a high standard of living for all, at least based on what we're told by the AI, who may, of course, be biased. Humanity was being safeguarded and managed by an artificial intelligence of their own, which then turned against them after becoming sentient. The AI employed nanomachines and launched a devastating war against humanity, essentially wiping out most humans in the galaxy. As a last-ditch effort, a series of moons were created, which served as arcs. They were meant to be dispatched across the galaxy to fertile zones, but only one was in fact finished and was sent to Earth. The moon itself did not have living humans, as there was a fear that they could be tracked by the AI, but it did contain genetic material, and when Earth finished its evolution, perhaps helped by the moon's pull, the seeds of humanity was placed, and well, the rest was history. At some point, however, the swarm discovered humanity, and in an effort to destroy not only living humans but the moon so that we couldn't further propagate, they tried to destroy its energy source, which would cause it to crash into the planet. Of course, and I won't go into too many spoilers, you should watch the movie yourself if you're interested, our timely heroes do have, I'll call it, a chance against the swarm. What actually happened? You'll have to watch the movie to find that out, but that is the basic story. The moon is in fact a hollow megastructure. Many of the conspiracy theories we've heard turned out to be true. Now, that's the story. Is the movie itself good? Not really. I do think it's a very interesting premise. The idea that one of these far out, ridiculous conspiracy theories, i.e. a hollow moon, which is a megastructure, turns out to be true is pretty interesting, and I think could maybe stand on its own if taken seriously. The problem is this movie is schlock. It's basically a worse version of something like Independence Day or Armageddon, and I mean significantly worse, with a just awful B-plot that I literally fast-forwarded through. I think lunar horror is kind of an interesting topic. There was something really cool done with the YouTube channel Local 58, which presented the moon as almost a Lovecraftian entity, and I always sigh when I see these kind of cool ideas essentially wasted with bad execution and bad movies. There's also a lot that frankly could have been done in a more interesting way, or just could have been better. If we are seeded by a precursor species, it would be interesting if either they're at least a little bit different than us, not just with slightly different fashion sense, or that there are sort of these unconscious aspects of our civilization and of humanity which make a lot more sense. Something like that being addressed in the movie would be cool. So it's a little frustrating that like modern humanity can develop a weapon which can destroy at least a portion of the swarm, and we even see the AI of ancient humanity helping out a bit, but apparently the much more advanced, capable of creating megastructure civilization of the past was not able to make EMPs. Not a great movie in my opinion. I didn't really like it. The plot was at least interesting. The trailers definitely got me intrigued, but let me know what you thought down below. Until next time, have a good one, be safe, and may the force be with you.